Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and I have week 4 of my Advent Matchboxes. So let's jump right in. So for this week, I am using I kind of was going for a more traditional kind of style, and it kind of ends up being a bit masculine, which wasn't my intention, but I kind of like how that turned out. So you see here I have some pattern paper. This is from Echo Park. This actually came out in 2019. It's been in my stash since, and I've just never used it. So you can't get this exact paper, but I'll see if I can find something very similar. But any pattern paper would look great with this. And I cut down a 3-inch piece, and I am just used the Matchbox die to cut out kind of the part that goes on top of the drawer because I wanted it to be one piece. I'm kind of going for the look of a Christmas present with this design. So that's kind of what I was thinking. So I'm going to adhere my box into the paper because I'm kind of thinking of it like wrapping paper. And with that, because I've already used the Matchbox die to make the box, which I used, this is Kraft Heavystock, it won't work perfectly with the score lines. And you also see me reinforce the score lines with the tool that Tim Holtz suggests. It's like a rub-on tool for the rub-ons. It's like the metal one. Oh, excuse me. And I will have that link down below if you're interested. But I just used it to reinforce these score lines. And then because this is already created, it needs to be wider than the score lines are. So you can see that I'm kind of trying to wrap it around the box to get it as snug a fit as possible. And I got a visit from my sweet kitten, Mist, but I am using my Bare Layer glue to adhere each layer. You probably wouldn't need to do this necessarily. I really hate it when I make something and then it comes apart. That just is probably one of my biggest pet peeves with the creating world. So I did kind of adhere each edge like I would like I was wrapping a present. So, and it does fight me a little. You can kind of see that it comes up on some sides. I have to kind of hold it down because the score lines where they're not in the exact right place, right? So it kind of doesn't really want to sit there, but with the glue, it holds and it looks pretty cool. So I am bringing in my Kraft pick, and this is just creating the hole that I'm going to use my Hitch fastener in. And I have the same 2 drill bits that I've been using this whole time. I just found sizes that were the same as the Hitch fastener, and I used them to create the holes in the little box to make it so that there is a way to open the drawer easier. I kind of have to fight with the drawer a little bit. I do push it in and out as I'm creating to make sure that you actually have some room to do that with, but I mean, it's one of those things where I want it to be easy for the recipient, right? Which in this case is my husband. And then you saw I trimmed down, this is a 1/4 inch piece. This is because that is what it is for the sides of the box, the front and the back panel. That are on kind of more of the drawer. And then I also cut down a piece to go inside of the box. Now each piece inside of the box is going to be different because it's based on how thick your walls are, how well they adhered, how well they stayed in place, so on and so forth. So you see I have to go back and forth while kind of getting the right fit. And I started out cutting it to what it would be if I was adhering a piece to the top of the box, and then I just go back and forth until I get it to fit inside. And then I usually have to pry it back out and then trim off a smidge bit more, and then I glue it in. And it stays there and it looks really cool. So the box is actually just over 2.5 by 1 3/4. So I cut my piece down to the 1 3/4 and then I cut it down again, and then I have to go back and forth until it actually can fit inside the box. And then I'm going to adhere down the front and back little piece of that pattern paper as well. This is just because when we get into adding the ribbon, I'm going to call it the ribbon. That's not what it is technically, but that's what I'm using it as on this parcel. So when we get to that, I need to know where the hole is going to be. So I adhered this down to have the whole package wrapped is kind of my idea here, right? Because I'm trying to make it look like a Christmas present. So I am adhering all of the pattern paper down to start before I even really start doing anything else. And then I am going to set that aside to dry. And then once it's dry, I believe I end up poking the hole in it. I don't remember. I've made so many of these boxes now. I'm kind of a little bit lost, to be honest. Oh, okay. I am going to show you here. I'm going to use this ribbon. This is out of the 2021 Christmas Vault series that Tim Holtz released, and I'm going to cut it out in this really pretty mirror silver cardstock. I chose to use that because I thought it would look really pretty with the blue and teal colors that I end up doing for these boxes. So I did do silver on all of them, and I just put that through my Gemini Jr. And you see there that I am using the Magic Mat from scrapbook.com. This is a new one. I just got this one because I ordered when they had their Black Friday sale on, and you got one of these mats for free. I did actually have one before, but it got warped so badly and I haven't been able to get it to go flat. So I haven't been using it, but I got a new one and I love them. They're great. I use the heck out of them though. So I mean, it lasts a lot longer than a plate does, and now we're going to build the bow. And I'm going to be honest, the bow is a bit tedious. I do kind of wish I had a hitch fastener, but I cannot find one. Couldn't get my hands on one. So at least not in time for this. So you want to fold the small parts together. Hopefully that makes sense. So the center of the ribbon is going to match up to the smallest part on kind of that piece that sticks out, if that makes sense, of the bow. So you're going to fold the smallest part back to the piece where the bow is. And I use my reverse tweezers just to reinforce the fold when I fold the like ribbon bit back over, if that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining this well. I'm sorry if I'm not. If you had one, it kind of makes sense. Like it's one long piece and you fold all the small pieces together and then the ribbon pieces fold back again, so you make a bow. I'm sorry, that's probably not a great explanation, but that's about as good as I'm gonna get because it's a little difficult to explain, so hopefully seeing it helps. And then I adhered the center. As I said, it would be easier if you had a hitch fastener. That's what Tim suggests, at least that's what he suggested last time I watched a video about how he made the bow, that if you had hitch fastened in the inside and then wrap the little piece around, then nobody would see it, right? So and then here I have the same silver metallic cardstock, and I'm cutting it down into 1/4 inch strips because that is the size of the part that goes around the center of the bow. So I cut it down into strips because that's what I'm going to use to create my like ribbon effect around the little box. And then I brought in my little drill bits again just so I could get that hole back from where it is in the front of the box on that pattern paper, so that I knew that my ribbon wouldn't be in the way of that hitch fastener going into the hole, because I want it to be close to but not over top of, except in the middle box I did actually put it in the center, which you would have seen in the pictures. So and then I'm going to adhere this down. Now this part is a bit finicky just because I want all of that ribbon to line up. So I kind of have to go back and forth, and this is sped way up because this took me a bit. Because the drawer has to open, right? So I can't adhere the drawer shut. So I kind of had to be a bit finicky with what I kind of was building here. So I do and I eyeball line it up and I line it up again and then I trim little pieces off. It's a bit tedious, but I think that they turned out super cute. And then I do trim off anything that's excess so that the drawer can open and shut without that silver, I'm calling it ribbon, it's cardstock, but without that silver piece getting stuck in the drawer and then ripping off. So I do have to go back and forth a little bit with that to kind of create that consistent, continuous look. And then I used another strip to do the back piece and then line it up with the front piece and then line it up with the other piece and then kind of finagle it around until it's exactly where I want it to be. And then luckily the piece actually wrap around perfectly the way I cut them. So going that around the box worked perfectly. So I am going to do kind of the same thing I did with the wrapping paper. I start on the back and I'm going to wrap it around and then see here I adhered it wrong, so I actually had to flip it back over because I wanted the parts to meet over top of the long piece that I already had, because that's where my bow is going to sit. So you're not going to be able to see that. So I kind of wanted all of it to kind of join in the same place. And I do use my reverse tweezers a lot for this. As you can see, I have long nails, and they don't get in the way, but they make it harder for you guys to see what I'm doing. So I tend to use my reverse tweezers a lot in video so that you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. And then I took one of the tiniest dies out of the tag dies from the Tim Holtz Tag set, and I am going to use it on the same heavy Kraft cardstock that I used to make the actual boxes out of so that it matches. And that's going to be how we're going to add our number when we get to that part of this. So I am going to use it on later. I'm not quite at that point yet. So I'm going to put the hitch fastener in so I can see how it lines up with the ribbon, the metallic cardstock. And then here I bring in a pencil and I'm just writing down 17. So I can kind of have an idea of what I'm doing before I bring in the marker. And it's a silver Posca marker that's like an acrylic paint marker. I found that was the easiest way to get a silver look without, like, I tried a Sharpie on this cardstock and you couldn't tell, you couldn't see it. So I kind of went back and forth until I found this in my stash, and then I'm going to use that to write the 17. And I just wrote the number on it. I mean, if you had a die or a stamp that you'd prefer, that would work too. I didn't have one that was small enough to fit on this little tag, so I just hand drew it. And I do also kind of add little dots around the tag because there's extra space on it, so that it kind of fills in the space and looks a little bit like snow, which, I mean, I like the look, so I thought it was super cute. And then I set that there to dry, and now I'm going to wrap the center piece around my bow just so that is ready to go, just because I wanted my silver Posca marker to dry before I do anything else with the tag. And I do probably use more glue than maybe you need to. You might be a little more confident than me and not need as much glue, but I have a tendency to reinforce everything just because, like I said, I would hate for it to fall apart. And I want to, and there's my kitten back just to visit, and you saw that I glued that down. And then I am going to go around the 17. I didn't like how it was standing up against the Kraft cardstock. It blended in too much for my liking. So I brought in just a white gel pen, and you saw me scribble it on my thumb. That was just to make sure that it was going to flow nicely. And then I just went around the 17 and outlined it. And then I add those little white dots to it as well. Because there's white on the pattern paper, I think that it just adds a little something and looks kind of cute. But yeah, I mean, you could do so many different things with this if you didn't want to handwrite it yourself. I mean, you could put it on a label or print it out, something like that. Like, this is just what I chose to do. I found it was easier than doing most of the other things. And then there's that super cute little label. And that is going to go on the box where I've kind of set it there. So then we're going to bring in, this is just some white thread, or I guess it's string that I had in my stash, and it has a little piece of silver metallic thread going through it. And I just thought that was super cute. So I stuck it through the little hole in the tag there, and then we're going to adhere it down to the box. Excuse me. So I am going to put a little drop of glue right in that center part where all the like ribbon or metallic cardstock meets, and that's going to be where I adhere my piece of string. I'm not going to adhere the tag itself down. It's able to move around if it wants to, but I will adhere the string down, and then the bow is going to go on top of it, so you can't actually see all that joining pieces going on there. So I had adhered the bow down at this point, but it didn't adhere worth a hoot. It's going to fall off in about 3 seconds here. See? It's wiggling around. I look at it and I'm like, what the heck? And then it like falls off when I try to fluff it up. And I had adhered it down. So I didn't show you that because we're going to fix it. So I'm going to bring in a 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This is Scor-Tape. And I just cut off a little piece and I adhere it down onto the bow, and then I'm going to add glue and this Scor-Tape, and I'm going to adhere that bow down because she's not going nowhere. Because I don't know if you guys know, if you watch the other videos, I want to make this into kind of an art piece when I'm finished, or when my husband's finished getting all the boxes, and I want to put them in a shadow box. And the last thing I want is for things to fall off when they're in the shadow box. So I adhered it down with some glue and that Scor-Tape, and then I'm just fluffing the bow up a little bit. And then here you can see I just stuck my white gel marker in there to kind of round the bow up a little more. I mean, you can have it as flat or as curved as you would like it to be. I just wanted it to have some dimension. And then I close the box, and that is the box. I would love to know what you guys think of this. I think they turned out super cute. Do you have a favorite of the 4 weeks? We have 1 week left to go, which is just insane to me. But we have one more design to go, and then we are done these super cute advent calendars. So that is the video for today. I'd love if you'd consider subscribing, leave me a like, leave me a comment. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.